it's Amanda here, and I am bringing you a palette favorites video. I get asked all the time, what is my favorite eyeshadow palette? And I have no answer for that. I have definitely hundreds of eyeshadow palettes, and most of them I really like and enjoy for different reasons. One day, one will be my favorite. The next day, I'll want something completely different. But in trying all of those palettes, I've really narrowed down some of my top favorite lists in different categories. And I have to make my categories pretty specific because, like I said, I like a lot of palettes. So today's video is all about underrated neutral palettes. Like I said, I have to get very specific. Right now, it's kind of not cool to like neutrals. Color is just really the hot thing right now, which I love. I love colorful palettes too, but even though it's not cool, I don't care. I still love my neutral palettes. They are absolute staples for me. I love to pair them with colorful palettes or colorful singles like my Super Shock shadows. And I think there are some great neutral eyeshadow palettes out there that just don't get the hype. When we think of popular neutral palettes, you and I probably think of the exact same things. The Naked palettes from Urban Decay, or the Soft Glam palette from ABH, which is one of my favorite palettes, but it's not going to be discussed in this video because I feel like it has really gotten the recognition that it deserves. And the other cult favorite neutrals like the Tartelette palettes from Tarte, the Chocolate Bar palettes from Too Faced, I think all of these really hyped up neutrals deserve the love that they get. I do think those are all great palettes, great lineups. However, they are not the only good palettes out there. So I'm going to share with you 8 of my favorite neutral palettes that just don't get the love they deserve. I really wanted to give everybody options here depending on what you're looking for in your collection. So I have some that are really budget friendly, so under $20. Some that are more on the high-end side if you're looking to invest in some staples. I also have palettes that are all matte. I know a lot of people really need that staple neutral matte collection. I'm right there with you. I think that's a great thing to have. So let's start with the budget-friendly picks. First up for Maybelline is the Matte About Town City Mini palette. I know if you've seen any of my other Maybelline reviews, like the Burgundy Bar and the 24 karat, I forget what it's called, I roasted the formula in there. This is the formula we need to see every time for Maybelline, because these mattes, the first time I touched this, I had to double take and make sure that I was swatching Maybelline. These mattes are so velvety soft and just deliciously beautiful. I'm gonna put up some swatches for you while I talk about this. This palette is $10 or under, depending on where you purchase it. It's priced differently from different retailers. The shade selection is great. It's super useful. The formula is amazing. I don't know why more people aren't hyping the City Minis, but particularly this Matte About Town one. This is a good palette, guys. Run over to CVS and grab this because it's good. You know there will never be a palette favorites video without a Colourpop palette, and here she is. I promise this is the only one in this video. This is the Brown Sugar palette from Colourpop. They released this in collaboration with Karrueche. This palette has 9 eyeshadows. It does have a nice mirror in here. I did a full review on this. This one's priced at only $12. Colourpop palettes in general get a lot of hype, but I feel like this Brown Sugar palette just really got overlooked. And this is a beautiful palette. It does have a mix, mostly mattes. There are 3 shimmers in the middle. There's a beautiful duochrome brown green shade called Sauté. Not only is this great quality at a great price, but these shades are going to work for so many different occasions, different skin tones. That's going to be a trend throughout my palette recommendations. Something that has a lot of versatility and is going to work for a lot of people. Something that I really love in a palette. Let's move on to my 3 just travel staple palettes. These are palettes that can be multitasked. First up is one that I always travel with. I've raved about this little MAC palette so frequently on my channel. I'm sure you guys are sick of it. This is everything I need. This is the MAC SemiSweet Times 9 palette. All 9 shades are mattes. We have a great range of light, medium, and deep shades. There's a little like pop of mustard, a little pop of red, just everything I need. I can easily take this and just a couple of my Super Shock shadows and have every different look that I need when I travel. It's so compact, it's sturdy, it's just the perfect little neutral palette to travel with. And I get great looks out of this all on its own too, so highly recommend. I'm never gonna stop recommending this. I hope MAC never discontinues this. The next 2 palettes I'm gonna recommend in my favorites to travel with are because of their ability to be multitasked. First up is this one from Persona Cosmetics. This is the Identity palette. It's so slim and compact and lightweight. It has a mirror, it can be folded over. I actually did a video for the Persona Cosmetics channel about how I used these shades to do my whole face. So blush, bronzer, of course eyeshadow, even my lips. This is such a handy, useful little palette. Yet again, just the perfect shade range. This is gonna work for a lot of skin tones. I just don't think this palette gets the love it deserves. I feel like Persona, and particularly the eyeshadow palettes, this eyeshadow palette, have always been on point quality wise. I have never been disappointed. I do think this is my favorite of their products, although I do like many of their products. Their highlighters and lip glosses are bomb, but this palette is just, it's so good. I wish more people would rave about this because I love it. Did I say? This one's priced at $32. Forgot if I mentioned that or not. There you have it. On the higher end of things, this is the NARS Skin Deep palette. This is another one, especially with these large shades at the top, that can be multitasked for face powders as well. You could use it for setting, blush, bronzer, contour, as well as brow powders. So many NARS products do get a lot of hype. I just haven't heard a lot of people talking about how great this palette is. This is for sure a contender for my top palettes of 2019. I'm really surprised that this one didn't get a lot of love because I felt like was it the Loaded or Reloaded? They had another palette that was this size a couple years ago and everybody was talking about that. And I think that this formula is 10 times better than that palette. Again, great mix of shades, finishes. This is really, really gonna flatter deeper skin tones as well. It's just got all the NARS luxury, which it better have because it's priced at $59. But I totally think if you're gonna go for a higher end neutral palette, you will not be disappointed with this one. I really like this palette. The last 3 palettes, I'm just calling these Amanda's favorites because these are just palettes that I really love and I think they're some of the best, but they're just not getting the recognition they deserve. You probably won't be surprised by this one. This is the Winky Lux Coffee palette. This one's priced at $25. This was in my best palettes of 2018. And I love everything about it. I like the packaging. I do wish it had a mirror, but their new palette has a mirror now, so I'm glad to see that. This has the perfect, just like basic neutrals that anyone might need. It smells deliciously of coffee. I don't hear hardly anyone talk about Winky Lux, and their formula is just beautiful. They have such a cute, unique style. They really do tend to go for more like basic neutrals, but I don't really have a problem with that because who doesn't need basic neutrals? I like it. I'm here for it. Coffee palette, it's underrated. It's at Ulta. Check it out. It's a good one. I bet you're surprised that it took me this long to mention a Too Faced palette. This is the Too Faced Natural Eyes palette. It was repackaged and revamped a year or 2 ago. I do think that it's better than ever. The old Natural Eyes palette was my first ever high-end eyeshadow palette, the one in the cardboard box. Ever since getting that palette, I have endlessly recommended the Natural Eyes palette to anybody who's looking for a great staple neutral. It's not too overwhelming because it is just 9 shades. They're laid out in a way that makes them very easy to use. So I always recommend this to beginners. The formula is just beautiful. The shades are perfect. The packaging is beautiful. It smells good. It looks good. This one's priced at $38, so kind of in the middle price-wise, but I do think it's worth every penny. I feel like this doesn't get enough hype compared to the chocolate bars, and I think I like this better than the chocolate bars. Ooh, I feel like a traitor saying that because the chocolate bars, they're like an institution in the beauty community, and they are good. I mean, I'm not denying it. They're great. They deserve the hype, but this one just gets overlooked, and I love this palette. I will never stop recommending this palette. Last and absolutely not least is one of the most underrated and best neutral palettes on the market. I feel like it's crazy to say that, but I'm saying it. This is the Lorac Unzipped palette. This is priced at $42. It is worth every single penny. I love this palette so much. It makes me sad. I am offended that this doesn't get hyped. This is such a perfect palette. I've said many times in the past, I think the Lorac Pro eyeshadows are some of the best on the market. I stand by that. It is very evident the second you touch these shadows that they are soft, pigmented, blendable, easy to work with, true to color, long lasting, any other adjective you can think of that positively describes an eyeshadow. This is it. This is it. This is priced at $42. It does come with an eyeshadow primer. I don't swear by their eyeshadow primer, but I do swear by this formula. Okay, the Pro palettes get all the love in the Lorac family, and I feel like, you know, these are just like the ignored, unloved stepchildren, and I don't know why, because I like the Unzipped palettes better than the original Pro palettes. I'm just gonna say it. Like Pro 3, which is a similar color scheme here, doesn't even hold a candle to this. Shade-wise, formula-wise. If you're looking at the Lorac Pro 3, this one, if you're looking at this palette, skip it. I'm telling you right now, don't get this palette. Skip this one, skip the Pro 3, get the Unzipped. This is infinitely better. This is such a good palette. I want to cry because not everybody knows how good it is. It's one of my top favorite palettes of all time. I'm saying it right now. I'm saying it right now. That wraps up my top 8 underrated, most loved, most favorite, deserves more hype, neutral palettes. I would love to hear what you think about the palettes on my list. Are there any that you think I missed that deserve more love in the neutral eyeshadow palette world? I always love to hear what you guys think about things too. Let me know what kind of palette favorites you want to see next. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye. A lot. Obviously, you like all of these palettes because you're putting them in a favorites list. Okay. Thanks for going over that. Oh, it smells so good. I just want to like eat this palette. I'm not going to because I will continue to use it, but I want to eat it. Don't eat your makeup. Every time I make that joke, I have to disclaim it. If you could open it, that would be great. Okay, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Please get your life together. Is it confusing that this is called the SemiSweet and there's a SemiSweet chocolate bar? I mean, it shouldn't be confusing. They look totally different, but why they gotta make makeup have the same name? There's so many names out there. You could have just called it something different. But if it was like the battle of the semi-sweets, wouldn't even be fair. They're completely different. What am I talking about? Just get to the point. Can anyone ever open these? No, they can't. Oh, I am pre-filming so many videos and I think I'm gonna lose my voice, so I think I'm gonna have to be done today. I think that's gonna have to be it. Aw, bye-bye. Bye-bye.